I think we can give people a lot of knowledge and tools and entertainment in order for them to live an epic life.
For me, an epic life is to have an authentic life. Like whatever is authentic to you, whatever is epic to you. It's not about what's epic to other people. It's about what's epic to you. To do epic shit is basically, it's not about what other people consider epic. It's what you, when you were 8, and you, when you're 80, consider epic. Those are the only two people that you really like need their validation.
You said our dad is sometimes unnecessarily hard on us.
I think he used to be.
Used to be?
Now he's not. Now he's just
Laid back.
I mean, by old school terms.
By old school books, yeah.
Right now, my dad is pretty laid back. By the old school terms. By the old school terms before, he was pretty strict. Still. Even by the old school terms,
yeah,
he was pretty strict.
Yeah.
O sea, he was not on the. O sea,
didn't buy us a car.
My dad was very conservative.
No allowance.
Even for the conservative dads.
No allowance.
He was the strict ones.
Yeah.
No allowance. I'm not gonna give you money for you to go drink with your friends or go on the weekends to clubs or whatever. You're not gonna get a car. You're gonna
work in summer.
You're gonna work
after school. You're gonna work in summer.
No. And if you're not in school, you're gonna work, or you can't be in my house.
Or you can't be in my house.
Period. And it's not about money. It's not about money for him. It was just a matter of like
work ethic.
Yeah. We learned to work at a very early age. We made our own money. When no kid was having a fucking iPhone. When iPhones were $800 back in the day, when they were $800, which is now like still like 2,000 or whatever it would be.
That was 2007.
I think so. Yeah. I bought myself an iPhone out of selling piracy in the American school library. So I would be in the richest library in the richest
part of town
in the richest school in the north of Mexico, or probably in Mexico, in the library, selling piracy to all the kids there.
We were very blessed with the quality that we had, because nothing was ever missing. Right?
We were entrepreneurs.
We always had food on the table, right?
Yeah.
Our dad wasn't an alcoholic. He didn't beat on us unless we behaved badly. Right?
Yeah, unless we were, especially in public.
He did.
Especially if we did shit to him in public, he would fucking make an example out of us, so that everybody would see, like, if that's the way he is with his kids, imagine how he is with you if you wanna fuck with him.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the example we got, at least.
That was a good example. We got a good example.
Right now, interestingly enough, I'm not gonna put my glasses. Interestingly enough, if we were to be like in 2015, maybe even I would say 2020, if people were to know that about our dad, they would see him as a terrible person. But now in 2025, now that we're on that other side of the pendulum, and like Trump is president or some shit like that, again, Trump is president again.
He's a great dad.
Now he's a great dad. He's a great example of an American
hard dad,
of a great man.
Didn't want to spoil his children.
Just a great man.
Was not going to put up with any shit, And he wanted his kids to work hard.
But I remember, vamos a darle un poquito, I'm gonna give him a little bit, les vamos a dar carnita a estos pendejos. I remember when I came out of the closet with my dad, and I came to him and I told him, like, yeah, I've been with men. And he was like, oh, okay.
It's okay. But it was a joke. You're pulling a prank on my dad.
No. There was a moment where I think my dad was I don't know, like, I mean, I don't know how it happened, but it was just like, I think he was kind of like teasing me, like, yeah, that's why, and that's why you like men, or I don't know what was going on, but he basically was teasing me about something, and then I said, well, I don't like all men, you know, I like some, it's different. And then he was like, what? And for me, it was cool. I mean, at the end of the day, because I mean, I did tell him, and he was cool about it. I mean, he was never like. What was funny was when I was with him, and then he said, if I was a woman, I would like a man. Wait, that. And he's obviously thinking about a man like himself.
Right.
Obviously. He's thinking about himself. Like, if I was a woman, I would like me. Yeah, I get that. And then I told him that if I was a woman, I would be bi. I would love women. And then he said, you know, eso sí, ahora sí eres bien hombre. Ahora sí eres hombre. And I said, because if you're a woman,
I consider myself. My dad would say,
I would love women still. Like, if I was a woman, I would still love women, man. Ahora sí me saliste machín. Ahora sí me saliste hombre.
And then he would say, and then he would say, I consider myself a lesbian in a man's body. Is that what my dad would sometimes consider himself?
Yeah, he could probably go there.
Yeah, he definitely went there.
He definitely went there.
All right. Well, the subject of today was why specifically did we come out the way that we came out? Why were we raised the way that we were raised? Why are we so different, bro?
Because my mom first said, I want them to learn to be themselves, and then I want them to learn to fit in. And a lot of people would prefer the other way. First, they want to teach the kid to fit in and behave, and then they want to teach them to be themselves.
Right.
And my mom was like, fuck that. It's much easier to learn to behave than to learn to be yourself after you've forgotten how to be yourself, you know. So I think that gave a lot of room for each one. And plus, you had a side. I think you had a different, neurologically you had a different sweet spot. So you could hold certain states for much more extended periods of time. I don't know. I think that's where the phenomena, your physical phenomena, came in from a very early age. From a very early age, he always beat me at everything physically. He always showed more physical skill. So he would ascend in the learning curve, kinesthetically, a lot faster, and in everything, really. But it was that immediately, and for me, it wasn't that I wasn't smart enough or I wasn't able to catch that. It was just emotionally, I was too sensitive, or I would say just didn't receive the same, wasn't able to achieve the same state of like zen or presence or concentration. I think I received stress in a much different way in my nervous system at a very early age.
What type of epic value do we think that we could bring to the world because of what we have known and what we have grown up with learning?
I think it's just about being present, just about consciousness, just about seeing things as they are, and being able to be present in that, and that also means being radically honest or truthful with oneself about what you think, what you believe, what you know, and to know the difference between that. Because sometimes, like, I believe a lot of shit that I don't know. And I know that I believe it. That it's not something. It's maybe an intuition. It's based on certain other things, but there's no facts behind a lot of the things that I'm saying or a lot of the ways that I'm thinking. And then there's also a lot of decisions that I'm taking that are based on facts. And there's some decisions that I'm taking that are based more on faith. And there's a difference. And sometimes even the shit that's coming out of our mouth, I think it's just as long as that's clear, conversations can be. It's hard when Sebastian and I are both together, it's hard to have a conversation about something and say something with so much conviction, because naturally we will want to call bullshit on something that doesn't feel completely certain. And also we're able to also catch on to when the other person is like, holy fuck, they're onto something. It's also something that's just because of the years of knowing each other.
What the fuck what message should we be communicating to the world?
Shoulds can go fuck themselves.
Is that what we should be saying?
Yeah.
Shoulds
can go fuck themselves, honestly. Like whoever's shooting you in your life, tell them go fuck themselves. O sea, de que, or you can just silently or whatever the fuck, do whatever you want. O sea, de que, wait.
You're not powerful enough to fuck it up.
I would even say treat them as you want to be treated when you're shooting people. When you're like, you should, you know, okay, bueno, treat them how you want to be treated when you're like that. I would love for people to tell me to go fuck myself when I'm shooting them.
When you're shooting them?
When I'm like, you should, tú deberías de, tú tienes que, A mí me mamaría. I would love for them to be like, how about you go fuck yourself? And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. You should go fuck yourself. Oh, damn. Like, okay. You see, remember that. Like, why are you imposing your priorities onto other people? Que hueva. ¿Por qué te dejas aparte? Like, why are you taking it? Why are you accepting it? Why are you accepting other people to be like,
I think that's something that's a very common theme in everything that we've done. We have always tried to promote radical autonomy and radical critical thinking and radical freedom in the minds of people. You know, I think at the end of the day, that's what a big part of our upbringing has been about in terms of our emotional intelligence. You know, our dad taught us to question others, you know, because he's a lawyer. And my mom, she's a philosopher, taught us to question ourselves, right?
And God.
And question God.
God, why? What's going on? Oh, okay. Okay, okay. Well,
stay humble.
Okay.
Stay humble.
Okay.
And I think that's a big message. As long as you're grateful, no? As long as you're grateful for what you've got, as long as you're grateful for what you're doing and who you are, and you're promoting well-being, you're promoting gratitude for the lives of other people, and you're trying your best to be a blessing for the lives of others, you know? You might as well do whatever the fuck you want, you know?
As long as you're treating others the way you want to be treated, as long as you're treating others... For me, it's more about honesty, it's about shared values, it's about consent, it's about non-exploitation, it's about honoring mutual needs, and yeah, shared values. O sea, there needs to be an overlap in what we're doing, where it means... We know that what it's going to mean to you and what it's going to mean to me is going to be different, but there's going to be certain things that we agree on, that there's certain things that it means the same thing for both. And the more there's an overlap between that, I think the more healthier our relationships can be. Sometimes when they're too like, my relationship with you means something completely different, like radically different. There's barely things that we share in what it means to you and what it means to me. That's normally going to become a little bit toxic.
Interesting.
That's just like sexual health and health, relational health.
All right.
I mean, we'll never be on the same page because people have different priorities, but there can be overlaps. There can be big overlaps in things that are similar. That's just shared values.
All right.
That's like I think it's Douglas Harvey, the guy that wrote about that. He's like a psychiatrist. He's like a psychologist.
Dude, there has been a lot we have been very privileged to learn about a lot of different emotional intelligence tools, personal development tools.
We're very privileged to the fact that self-help books are fucking boring to us.
Yes.
And they actually do not help us at all.
Yes.
At us.
For all
other people, yes. We need to read like clinical like manuals for actual therapists.
In order
like
for us
professional textbooks that are like actually for universities and shit. That's the shit we read. Because everything else is just the surface. Like we read the real manuals. the stuff that is, it's the real expensive books, not the ones that are accessible at $15, $20, $30.
I saw one that you had was dealing with a compulsive sex addiction or something like that.
No, that's the one I just mentioned, Douglas Harvey. He was something, treating out of control sexual addiction. No, treating out of control sexual behavior, rethinking sex addiction. So this guy basically developed a new model for treating out of control sexual behavior, because in San Diego in the 90s, a lot of people that were basically gay and doing crazy stuff on the streets, maybe like having sex on the streets or masturbating in public or doing something like that, they were charged with like sex offense. So they were sent to into the same rehabilitation as like pedophiles and sex offenders and stuff like that. So it was actually exposing them and exposing their safety. So this therapist started to present a new paradigm and new ways of treating it, so that you didn't necessarily also group people in the same, because even though group therapy is very valuable, you still, therapeutically, there's a lot of value to it. You can't just group certain people.
Right.
You know, you can't, if the guy is like somebody that likes to express violence towards gay men, and the other person is some like gay guy that can't get out of the closet, and he's like having these weird compulsions where he's doing crazy shit, you don't want to put them in the same room. The guy's gonna like follow him on his way home, you know, like there's risks to it. So it was important to develop some kind of model that could actually embed into the legal system in California. So it was actually a very, like, it was of the few models that courts and judges in the state of California, in San Diego specifically, were able to change the way that they would handle those kinds of cases, basically.
I think
especially in men, especially with men.
I think for background, it's really important to take into consideration, right? Our grandmother was a doctor and a psychologist, and she was part of the human potential movement. She was very close friends with Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow, Virginia Satir, Fritz Perls, Milton Erickson, the guy that the OG of hypnosis, Stanislav Grof, which was the guy that invented holotropic breathwork.
No. María de Sabinas, güey. María de Sabinas. She was like this healer, from a Mexican healer that was in the middle of the mountains. She would basically start healing people, and our grandmother was of the few English-speaking, you know, las gringuitas, las güeritas, that she would trust to bring.
Is she the woman that Jacobo Greenberg talked about?
Sí. O sea, María de Sabinas. Pachita también le dicen.
My grandmother was friends with Panchita.
I think so. Maybe I'm saying a bunch of bullshit, but you should research that. But yeah, María de Sabinas.
She asked my mom.
Pregúntale a mi mamá. Ajá, güey, de que María de Sabinas era.
And then my mom learned from my grandmother, right? She did all the psychometric tests and all the, you know, all the different tools, rituals, ceremonies, yada yada, that she learned from. And then she brought us to Dr. John DeMartini at 13, which John
Your
is.
case.
Well, at my case, I was 13. You were what, 16?
Yeah.
Dr. John DeMartini, #1 human behavior specialist in the world, recognized by the International Association of Top Professionals, which obviously we know that it's an American led institute, or, you know, so we don't really know if it's the best in the world, but you know, gringos, they like to think that they're
the best.
And then we learned from him. And then
honestly, John has a beautiful synthesis of work.
He is definitely one of the best.
His body of work is some of the simplest shit. His way of being able to interpret and his paradigm of human behavior is simply some of the most efficient frameworks in comparison to all the other ways that you can interpret and measure human behavior and see human behavior.
Right.
His work is just absolutely I'm so grateful to have been so young and to have been exposed to that just because it's so simple. It really is.
Right.
You start to understand like Freud, and then you start to understand Jung, and then you start to understand all these other different frameworks and paradigms of what is the mind, human behavior, systems theory, organizational therapy or organizational systems. And his work is just so simple that it was easier for me to understand all the other ones that were complicated. That was like, oh wow, these people are really making everything very complex when it's really just as simple as priorities, values.
Hierarchy of values.
Okay, and how if you're seeing things as good and bad.
And so then we
positive,
learned,
negative.
So then we learned
polarization, measurement of levels of polarization in charges.
Emotional charges, yeah.
Yeah.
Emotional judgments.
Yeah.
And then we started learning that DeMartini method. Then when I was 16, what you were, I don't know, 16.2, 17.2, you started giving consults. I started giving consults.
I started giving consults at I would say 19, 18. It was 19.
And then I wanted
18.
to put to the test all of these understandings and reprogramming and emotional reprogramming tools in order to be an athlete.
What you were doing was much more difficult because in my case, I started selling this shit when I was 19. So I was already very advanced, knowing a lot of work at 19, 20, 21. You also knew it.
I started at 16.
It's just you started to sell later. The moment you started to come out and started to promote yourself was a lot later and I started when I was 20, 21. So when a guy...
I started at 16. My first rape case was at 16.
Yes, but you weren't like fully, I would be like just going around Punto Central in circles.
Giving consults.
No, like looking for people and like, okay, here and selling. And then I would just be going to Generoso's house and selling and to this party and to this party and to this party and selling. And then by the age of 20, I was already working with festivals. I was already working with top designers and very important people in the creative worlds in Mexico.
Why'd you leave it though?
Well, because I felt I wanted to do other things, honestly. It was just like it got boring. I hit the ceiling too fast, dude. I was 24. By the time I was 22, I was already working with Sonamaco, like, dude, the biggest art fair in Latin America. I was already working with, like, investment firms. I was already working with, like, Fondeadora, way, like a fucking startup that was a bank, like fintechs. Like, I was already doing that at 22. It got boring. Yeah, I was making a shit ton of money, but it got boring. I was hitting the ceiling too young, and it felt like it was so easy, and it was so easy. But the truth is that it was easy when you're young. It's easy when you're young. It's easy to sell that shit when you're young. When you're older, it's a lot harder to sell these kinds of tools because it's like, oh, this guy needs to pay bills and he has an American Express, he needs to pay that shit. And when you're young, it's like, this guy has no bills, he has no nothing. What the fuck's up with this kid that is fucking like telling me that I'm learning to love my dad and that everything that is happening to me so that I learn to love it. Like, whoa, what the fuck,
Right.
It was a lot of balls on a kid, You're seeing some kid tell you that shit. It's hilarious. First of all, like it's hilarious to be. Imagine like
I remember when I was a kid. I remember when I was a kid, I would go to my high school teachers and I was like, Miss, I know why you're depressed, right? and I was like,
and it was hilarious because imagine like these guys, the clients, like these guys that were our age, 34, 35, maybe even going on to 40, and they're, successful entrepreneurs and stuff like that, and artists and all that, and then you see this kid that is 20 years old, and he's just like going hard on this model, like, by hard I'm saying like, I'm like telling her fucking truths to her face,
right?
And all these guys are like, whoa, what the fuck's up with this kid,
right?
And then this other person just telling them the truth, and me apodaban la ametralladora. Like I was like a fucking machine gun. I would just be like, ta 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 ta. Because that probably reminds you of your mom. And like what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. De que.
I would go to my high school teachers. I would tell them, Miss, I know why you're depressed. It's because you're comparing your life to a fantasy, thinking that if your life were to be like the fantasy, there would be more pleasure than pain. And so your mind's trying to associate pain to the attachment to the fantasy, and that's why you're fucking depressed. And she would be like, what the fuck do you know about life, right? And I had been heartbroken at 11 years old, so I had already been like crying for every day for a year. By that time, I was like, I already know all of this shit, right? I was telling her like, I know, I've been depressed before. And that's the story of being outspoken at such an early age, and we haven't shut up ever since. Honestly, I mean, in our own form, we haven't shut up ever since.
I've tried to shut up. Luckily, sometimes my brother invites me to do these.
We need to fucking bring the world the gratitude attitude, bro. We need to bring the gratitude attitude.
Gratitude is fucking cool.
We need to bring back the gratitude attitude to the world. We do. We need to bring a message of gratitude and fucking heal the world. I think that there is greatness behind
and fascia
and the mind-body connection.
You know what Andrew Tate and fucking Logan Paul don't talk about or do anything about? Their fascia.
They don't talk about their fascia?
Dude, when you see Andrew, the way he walks.
Like a duck? I mean, I respect to Andrew. I fucking love your stuff, man.
Top G.
You're top.
Yeah, he walks like a duck, and it's weird, and his posture is weird, and all that. And I mean, who am I to say? Like, I have scoliosis, but
and 2 titanium bars in your back, right?
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's not so much. Somebody can fucking break me real quick, but that the thing, I think it's more important to just be able to bounce, to be able to move with grace.
I think that's the world. I think that's what a big message of the world needs, man. The world needs to hear the message of how to have a gratitude attitude in order for you to be able to operate from a greater place of love and
presence.
We need to bring love to the world, man.
Damn.
I think that if we do this stuff, I think that it'll bring us together more.
Dude, I can fucking
We fight too much, bro.
I can talk about this shit. We can talk about the gratitude attitude for days.
Yes.
I mean, for me, it's just like, set it up and I'll be here. And just tell me with time the shit that we need to do, because right now I need to go eat. But I'd love that. I think that's a great, that would be magical. Mucha psicomagia.
We could definitely do some magic.
Shit. In Jodorowsky terms, it would be amazing psychomagic.
To talk about the gratitude attitude?
And whatever the fuck, way. Just simply you and I being in the same frame and fucking trying to just talking. Like, you see, we could just talk for days.
We can talk for days. All right.
Imagine our sisters would be like in the other room, and we'd be like 4 a.m.
Dude, and then there's so much stuff on human intelligence, on human behavior, emotional intelligence, gratitude attitude that we could be talking about in terms of money, in terms of relationships, in terms of the world, in terms of technology, where the world is headed right now with all the artificial intelligence, in terms of well-being.
I wouldn't dare. I personally wouldn't dare to talk so much about money, because it's not something that I think it's so hard to hear someone from our background and from our circumstance talk about money.
It's really hard because we were blessed. We were very privileged.
Exactly. Like, if I was coming from a fucking dirt poor background, or if I was somebody that literally did not come from my privileged background and I was talking about money, I would listen to him. Like, I would be like, yo, this motherfucker knows shit. If he's talking to me about like, yo, bro, you need to be like abundance mentality and shit, blah, 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 I'd be like, yo, he fucking knows shit. But if he was rich, I would be like,
he was born rich?
You were born rich, motherfucker. You don't know shit. and they're saying the same thing. But if it comes from a poor man, I believe him. But if it comes from somebody like us, I'm gonna be like, this motherfucker don't know shit. He just wants my money. It's like
right. That's but the truth of the matter is that we have been surrounded by a lot of money, and we have been surrounded by people that know a lot about money because they know how to manage what they have, and they know how to relate with people. They have principles.
I would say I would say bring people on your podcast that come from nothing, and actually making fucking money, and let them talk about their mentality. Honestly, that would be fucking dope. I would sit down and hear that conversation of you like really asking them curiously, like, yo, how did you notice a difference in your mentality in whatever when you start to make money? Now that you are making now that you have a Lambo? Like, I would honestly want to know, like, because that's the only reason why other people, I think Carlos Muñoz or whatever the fuck, like these guys. Obviously, we're gonna be in doubt, that we're gonna be put in that kind of spot because of our background. But I mean, I can talk about pain. I can talk about fascia. I can talk about being chained to my basement. I can talk about fucking bitches. I can talk about like infiltrating. I mean, I know I was like the first coach in this ranch. You know, like I know what it is to be like opening a market, like picando piedra, you know, like abriendo brecha and shit. We can talk about innovation. We can talk about a lot of shit. But or we could have other people on board and ask them questions. Just be curious. I think it's more what's beyond the things that we could say. I think it's about the questions we can ask. And
I think we can give people a lot of knowledge and tools and entertainment in order for them to live an epic life.
Yeah. Like, dude, just be yourself. Like, for me, an epic life is to have an authentic life. Like, whatever is authentic to you, whatever is epic to you, you know. Like, sometimes it's not about what's epic to other people. It's about what's epic to you. Epic shit is basically it's not about what other people consider epic. It's what you, when you were 8, and you, when you're 80, consider epic. Those are the only two people that you really like need their validation. Like
your 8-year-old and your 80-year-old self.
Yeah, like I love that phrase. Like when your 8-year-old self is looking at you and being like, "Wow, you're my hero." Like, wow, you're fucking amazing.
Or your
80-year-old self is like, "Ah, well, morro, like do that shit." Like that's when you know you're on the money.
Yeah.
That's when you're really vibing yourself authentically. Because fuck everything else, honestly.